It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Dart Talk carries the Internet Broadcast Rating TVD, a broadcast that is specifically designed to be viewed or heard by the darting community, and therefore may be incomprehensible to other lesser mammals. Darter discretion advised.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
May Day.
May Day. Happy May
May
Day.
Day.
Happy May Day.
Happy May Day. To all the people on the ADO, Communist Party.
May 1st.
Happy May Day to them. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
Dartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Steve Pronunciaman with Mystery Mark.
And
Chat Room Girl is back.
She is back.
How you doing, Chat Room Girl?
She's good.
Glad you're back. She can talk
She's
about
without
Vegas.
microphone.
She's without microphone, yeah. Well, it's safer.
If every
It's
now and
safer
then,
that way. Yeah, she's going to
please.
have to pop her head in and say hi. Anyway, a big show. We've got results from all 5 corners
big show.
of the earth. We have results from Hong Kong.
Oh, I
the
thought you were going to
Dartslive
say we
Asia.
had the WWE wrestler on.
What?
Big show.
Oh, is that somebody's nickname?
Yeah.
That's actually Brandon Rogers' nickname.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
big show, but I think it is. Anyway. Yeah, so we got Dartslive in Vegas, or not
Right.
Vegas, in Hong Kong. You've got the Sarantos Memorial Tournament, La Scratch, my favorite tournament, really, in North America they had over the weekend.
Which,
that was in Montreal, Canada.
did you go?
No, I went nowhere.
Well, then why is it your favorite tournament? You can't even
Because
go.
the one year I went there, it was like the best time I
Oh.
ever had in my life at a dart
just
tournament.
can't make it
was
back.
totally awesome. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
There's always been a conflict. There's always other tournaments, and
Except for this weekend
Yeah,
where you didn't go anywhere.
I just gave up.
There
I was
was-
burned out a little bit. I'm monitoring my tournament
No, that's
attendance
fine.
a little bit. So we have results from there.
Mm-hmm.
We have results from the Cleveland Extravaganza in Cleveland, Ohio. We have partial results, I think, from Portland, Oregon, from the Portland Open. Thanks, Thorne. And then I texted a little bit with Danny Lobby Jr., with Paco Lobby, who just got back from England. He's playing in the Youth Challenge, the Unicorn Youth Challenge over there. He's been over there, I think, 6 times. He's flying over there every month to play these under-21 events. And
Really?
Yeah, we're going to have to get him on the show. We'll have to get him get him Skyped up a little bit so we can talk to him a little bit and hear what's going on around there. Because that's one of the things that, it's kind of a long way around the barn. Do we do the Dart Zone thing? We're brought to you by Dartzone.com.
Stay in the zone, yes.
Dartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor.
We did.
We'll give him a freebie.
We didn't do the disclaimer, but
I'm a little frazzled.
We did do the beginning, yes.
We did do the beginning. Oh, speaking of disclaimers.
Mm-hmm.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits.
Okay, so we disclaim pretty much all that.
Always good for that to happen.
Yeah,
So-
so it was probably the biggest weekend of darts we've had this year. I mean,
And
people
you
playing
stayed home.
everywhere. Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
I know you were traveling a lot.
yeah,
I mean,
to be honest,
everybody's schedule
I
is
was gonna,
different. So
I could have went to Cleveland. It's like a 6-hour drive. I wasn't set up, but I probably could have got a partner when I was there. And I just couldn't do it. I just was like, the thought of going to another dart tournament, I was like, I can't do it. I'm just too, forget about it.
right.
Between driving to Vegas and driving to Virginia Beach and driving to Kentucky within 4 weeks, I literally driving around the
Well,
block.
you can't play
I was
in
like,
everything.
no way.
You know, it
Well,
just
you
so happens
could.
that
I mean,
well,
there's no
I know,
reason
but
to, but
even
know,
golfers don't play in every PGA event.
Well, no,
You
but
know, they pick and choose what they want and
Yeah.
what's feasible for them.
and I think I've been smart about the way I go to tournaments, right? Like I'll kind of target certain tournaments, and it's always been up till this year. The tournaments I always targeted were Nashville and Virginia Beach, sometimes Stanford, right? Thinking that those were like probably the biggest,
big
best
ones,
tournaments
right.
of the year. They paid the most and everything.
But now things have changed too.
Yeah, radically.
You know,
Radically. So, I set myself up okay for the NWDS in Vegas. I kind of underperformed a little bit, but, as far as like the way I played, I wasn't real happy with the way I played. But now the next tournament I think that I've got circled is the PDC in Chicago, and that's not till July.
right?
So what do I
plus
do?
the event in Las Vegas. I mean, that was basically a week and a half.
Well, yeah, I didn't play
travel
for
time.
a week and a half. Yeah, well,
But-
to be honest with you, I don't mind driving and seeing new things and going places I've never been. It's just it tires you out.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
Right.
do it every single day. You know what I'm saying? But
And still do the show.
well, and we did we miss a show? We actually
We missed
did
the one after Vegas.
no,
no,
we did
not
it,
after
we
Vegas.
Did it like
We missed the
couple
one
days
before
later.
Vegas.
did we miss a show?
Yeah, we missed the one before Vegas because all of a sudden you left on Monday instead of Tuesday, and we didn't have any
right.
time.
So we did no, but we did a double show the day
Well,
before.
yeah, the week before, not the day before. But yes,
I think we should get kudos for that.
right. So
I
technically,
think, we should get kudos for doing,
of a 52
doing a show
weeks,
today.
a 52-week schedule, we're still on pace
We're
for
still
52
on for
shows.
52 shows.
We
Well,
just
we'll figure something out. Get us a week off. Oh,
well, you're just a part timer.
yeah.
Chat room girls.
Yeah, she
She's
doesn't
one
have-
on, one off.
She doesn't have an official team hat
No.
or anything yet. We'll have to get we need a better camera so we can get her on camera.
We
So
should-
people can
you
mock
know,
her and stuff.
5:00 in the afternoon. We're still wondering whether she's going to be here. or
Well,
not,
and then
so.
she shows up in curlers and like a house robe and slippers,
Right.
which is a good thing that we can't pan the camera over there. Oh, well. Okay. Well, but what I was getting to is here's the problem when I have downtime. I get myself into trouble. Right? I go out last night after the hockey game, which I got to tell you. Oduya's pass from like the corner off the glass
was
over the guy's
unbelievable.
head and drops it in front of
Right.
Stallberg. It was the best hockey pass I've
Not
ever
only
seen in
that,
my
because
life.
you're 2 feet away from a penalty.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah,
goes over
delay
the
a game.
glass, it's delay a game.
And he had time to line it up. I mean, it was like a totally deliberate thing, and the guy's on skates jumping up
Yeah.
and still can't reach it.
Right.
Stallberg, it was so perfect, had to just kind of stand still and wait for Bickle.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. It was awesome.
I agree.
Anyway, so because we do have some hockey fans, and I'm liking the way the Hawks are looking. I think we're looking good. I don't know about Pittsburgh. We got to hope
Well,
Pittsburgh stumbles
hockey's-
around a little bit. but-
Hockey's completely different than all the other major sports because the upsets happen continuously. There's no hope. A home favorite isn't a home favorite. There's more upsets on the road in hockey than there is in any other sport. So it's just like every game really, really matters. You play the NBA basketball. Geez, you lose a couple games on the road. Who cares? You get 4 games at home. 90% of the time you win. In hockey, it doesn't happen. Hockey, I mean, the 8 seed won last year. There's
hot
never,
goaltending.
yeah, but there's never been an 8 seed
Well,
to even get to the second round in any other sport.
There's so many good goaltenders now.
Right.
It seems to me
But
that
it's
almost
just a
any
more-
team has a chance.
It's a more
but-
exciting playoff to me because anybody can win, and that's how you just Minnesota walks into Chicago and people aren't just like, well, it's a lock because anything can happen.
Well, there's a reason I brought up hockey.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, because they mucked it up, the Minnesota Wild. They were kind of jamming everybody in front of the net. We gave up a soft goal early, and it was kind of bad hockey. And we ended up winning on, like, total skill from, like, 4 guys.
Yeah.
You know, whoever knocked that guy into the boards, I think it was Adam Shaw.
Yeah, it was
right?
Adam Shaw.
And then this, like, you know, pass that no one in the history of hockey could do any better. And then a perfect, you know,
He just
pass
waited.
over to Bickle, and then, you
Right.
know, la-di-da-di-da, the goalie has no chance.
Yeah.
Right. It was a beautiful play. Anybody look at the highlights on SportsCenter. But the reason was that I spent literally, I think, 10 hours watching Darts Live from start to finish, starting like Sunday morning at 1, all the way to
1
the
a.m.
finish.
Okay.
And I'm just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And they made one change that I thought was significant. They changed the format where it was 701 cricket, 701 cricket, and then the fifth leg you would diddle. And if you won the diddle, you got to choose whether or not to go first. And if you lost the diddle, you got to choose the game. So, except for one guy. They would all choose cricket, and you would choose to go first. And then, the last game would be a matter of, you got to win going second in cricket, which, again, second
Very
time, the only
difficult.
person I could see doing it was Paul Lim.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did was they changed it where it became 701 cricket, cricket 701, which seems like a subtle change. But because they play mugs away, where if you lose the leg, you start the next leg.
Right.
Like when I played it, I won the 0-1s and lost the cricket, and I never got a chance to go first in cricket because I lost the diddle in the last leg, right? So now you're guaranteed to go first at least one leg of cricket. So it kind of evens it out a little bit, and I thought that was made it more compelling. But I got to tell you, I have come to the conclusion now that the soft tip game that they're playing, which is 701, what they call master out, which I think they should really change the name to amateur out.
Okay.
Because you can hit a triple.
Right.
So what's masterful about hitting a triple?
Right.
Or throwing 50-point bullseyes all day long? What's masterful about that? I think it's the opposite. I think it's an amateur game, which is not a bad thing. I mean, to see the pros play the amateur game and where you're taking skill out of the game, it makes the legs closer, right?
Sure,
and
absolutely.
I don't know. I go back and forth on this whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because what you're basically doing is eliminating a lot of skill.
Well, you're evening the playing field and putting some parity involved a little bit.
It's like having a putting contest where you make the cup 10 times the size.
Right.
Now everyone's a good putter, right? But what you're doing is you're eliminating skill. The skill of darts is finishing. And when you look at an 0-1 game, and I've had this argument with people about people think somehow cricket requires more skill, which is like ludicrous. To me.
Which we've discussed that
Yeah, we've
before,
discussed that. But here you got people like, do you know how to take out a 122? Do you know how to take out a 127? I look at some of these guys in the Dartslive thing, and they miss a double, and they just get this look on their face like, oh, I missed a double. And it's like, that's the game, dude.
Yeah, right.
Anybody can hit a bullseye. They had one guy won, I don't know, 3,000 Hong Kong dollars. He set the Dartslive record for like 49 straight bulls.
42?
42, whatever it was. I've hit
like
60. I've hit 60 straight on a steel board, and I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I figure people could do way better than that, right? On a soft tip board? Well, okay. I'm not going to argue with people about, the fact that
The size
01
of it too, but it's the angles are different.
Yeah, it's just
just because
that's a losing argument,
Right.
and I'm not going to get into it. People can think what they want to think. I'm just to the point where it's like, look, if you're designing an event, what Dartslive has managed to do is make a very compelling event where pretty much anybody has a chance to win if they're playing well.
Right.
If you go up there and you play like ridiculous darts like this French guy did. French guy, fifth leg, wins the diddle, decides to go first. The guy picks cricket, and this guy goes up and starts throwing 19s. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, does this guy think that somehow he is so brilliant that he has figured out the secret of winning cricket, which is give up the 20s and go for the 19s right off the bat?
Well, apparently.
Is this
Did it
where-
work?
No, he got killed. Not only did he get killed, every spare dart that he played, the guy just kind of looked at the board and was like, trip 20. And I'm like, which part of
20s are more than 19s.
the first element of hypermodern cricket sees the high ground, and what does this French guy do? He gives it away.
Right. Did he at least hit a 9 mark to maybe make
No.
a relative
No.
small excuse for it?
No, he did not. It was the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'll tell you, this game for steel tip players is kind of a mind mess. Like I was watching Larry Butler play Scotty Kirchner, which I thought, okay, this is going to be an interesting match. Because, Larry played so well against me in Kentucky. I'm thinking, well, if he plays anywhere near that well on a soft tip board,
Yeah.
He probably averaged 2 marks around less on the soft tip board against Kirchner than he did against me playing steel in Kentucky,
Why
which
would that
I,
be?
for the life of me, don't understand. But what he did was, now here's where I think Larry messed up. And this is what I noticed watching. And again, I watched 9 hours of this. I watched everybody play. The guy who had the right attitude about the 701 was Benny Dersch. Benny Dersch played, I think this guy Suzuki, I think his name was. And, Benny loses a diddle, so they're starting on 701. Guy goes, throws 3 bowls. Benny goes up, throws 3 bowls. Guy goes up, throws 3 bowls. Benny goes up, throws 3 bowls. Guy goes up, throws 3 bowls. Benny goes up, throws 3 bowls. Guy goes up, 3 bowls. What? You already did. Anyway, so they go back and forth on the bulls, and then finally, they're both on 101 after what? 12 darts? Right? Guy goes up, single bull, trip 17. Okay. And Benny's just like, well, okay.
I hit every dart I aimed at, and
Well, that's what happens when you go second.
Right.
You get beat to the double.
Yeah.
It's just the way. Who? No. Was it Cyril? Okay, whatever. I don't think Benny played him, but give her the microphone.
Going back to you hit the 16.
You're going to have to get closer.
People can hear me, trust me. They
No,
can
now
hear
they
me.
can.
Okay.
Trust me, I do
Trust me.
post-production on this.
So anyways, back to your 60 in a row in steel that nobody saw. Okay, so if you do that on video, then Smurfy will personally PayPal you $100.
Well, we don't have a board here.
Darn.
But okay, Smurfy.
Okay.
All right,
Game
I'm
on.
pretty sure we got something.
That's something
Oh, he
to
doesn't think
consider.
I can do it?
Right.
I mean, it's not something people generally try. Like Phil Taylor said something about he hit like 14 or 15 double bowls in a row, which was like
what?
his personal record. Warming up.
14?
14, it was 10,
Jeez.
11, whatever it was. That's a lot.
That's ridiculous.
Now, here's a question I have for the soft tippers, and since we have an active chat room, I got a question for the soft tippers who think they're so smart. Why is there no wire around the double bowl?
There's no wire on an electronic board at all.
Well, I mean, but there's dividers.
plastic.
There's okay. Why is there no ring around the double bowl? No, there isn't. Oh, not the darts. What boards have rings? So arachnid boards have rings, and other boards. Why do you have rings at all on the dartboard?
Because you get married.
Ask a serious question of the chat room girl, and what do you get? Anyway, no. Getting back to what I was talking about, it's like Benny had the right idea. Benny's like, just be there and make the guy hit it.
Right. And
well, but here's what Larry does. Larry is like an intelligent guy and got a little too clever. He's going second in the 0-1, and the first thing he does is try to pop a ton 80. And I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, how many ton 80s in a row do you have to hit to make it worth the risk of missing a bull?
mm-hmm.
Right? If you got the automatic 150. If you throw a 140, you're giving up 10 points, and you've thrown 2 out of 3 perfect darts.
Right.
So what are you going for the 24? And he's thinking that the only way to beat the guy to a finish is go like ton 80, ton 80, ton 80.
To his 150.
There's no percentage to it.
Yeah.
Right? It was like guys telling me in the amateurs at the arachnid tournaments play 501. And the only way to throw a 9-dart game is go 167, 167, 167.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
That's 501.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I take a whack at it on your very first start, and if you give up 30 points, it won't really matter because you have leeway, right? A perfect game in 701 soft tip, the way these guys do it, you have a dart in your hand. So you got wiggle room of one bull somewhere that you can miss and still throw the same number of rounds, right? So I don't know. I thought he had the right idea, and I think Larry kind of messed up his own head,
Just
playing it like a steel player. And then in the cricket, I was expecting a good match, and Larry didn't hit anywhere near as many triples as he hit against me against a target that's, 3-4 times as big?
Yeah.
So I was, very irritated.
Well, I don't know about 3 times, but it's definitely bigger. You think it's 3 times bigger?
I don't know.
But, yeah.
4 times? But you're further away, so, I mean, you got to factor that into it, too. But it's way bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, and that's probably what
I want to know why there's no ring around the double bull.
That's why he's factoring into probably why he's going for ton 80s, because the trip 20 is bigger, and he's so used to hitting ton 80s in a steel board.
Yeah, well.
But I agree with you. percentages mathematically.
You
it's
have
better
to
just
play.
He's also can hit bullseyes all the time, especially against you and diddling for cricket. So he might as well be just hitting bullseyes with the guy as well. I agree with that. No, I totally
you
agree
see
with
what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only way to put pressure on the guy,
Right.
right? And then if at some point toward the end maybe you go for a couple of triples or something to get down to a finish, because all you're trying to do is get from 201 to 171, right? It's only 30 points, right? Because you can triple out.
Because you can triple out, right?
Yeah,
you can master out. We should take a break.
Again, let's just eliminate doubles from the board. If that's what you want to do, why have them on the board?
Yeah, because nobody's aiming for them.
Yeah.
Why is there with masters out? Would
Well,
anybody
they aim for it in the cricket, right?
Yeah.
That's your bailout. Your bailout dart is a double in the cricket, and I'm just sort of like, I don't know. I just throw my hands at some of this stuff, but I found it. Well, we'll get back to it. Let's take a break. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, and Chat Room Girl, and we will be right back.
I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm ready.
Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. And
we have a beef.
Look, I'll be the first to say I know almost nothing about soft tip because I play it like maybe once a year. But we've got almost 100 hours of me talking about darts on tape. Don't put something in the chat room that I didn't say and say I said it, because we have evidence. That's all I'm saying.
True.
I find it very irritating. You're going to misquote me while I'm talking. It's like, I didn't say that. If that's what you heard, then hit rewind.
Yeah.
Listen to
Go
it again.
back and check it out.
Anyway, let's do the results from Darts Live.
All right, which one? Just this page?
Yeah, it's just the top part there. We'll give you the top four, and we'll let you know how the Americans did, and then you got to pause on number 16 there.
All right, so for the top four, the Darts Live Stage 1 results, top four, Scott Kirchner and Harith Lim. Harith Lim. Second place goes to Takahiro Suzuki and Ronald Briones. Is that right? Briones?
Yeah, Briones, yeah. He
wins,
won it.
Wins the stage 1.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that he won based on the quality of play I saw in the semis. And I was actually pretty impressed with Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he looked to me like he had it, like he kind of had it figured out and he was going to win the day. So I was kind of surprised at the end.
That he didn't?
Yeah.
So then for your Americans, 3 of them got top 64, Easton Veljic, Tom Sawyer, and Scotty Burnett. Ray Carver got top 32. Chris White got top 16. And Ben Dersch got top 16 as well.
Yeah, and Larry Butler made
top 8.
And again, I get so confused. I'm looking for the Americans, and they'll list the names, and then they'll have the country. And then I see Chris White, and it says Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you go to the NAPTA rankings for the North American Championship Tour, he's listed as an American. And I'm like, I don't understand how you can be listed for 2 separate countries.
Right. You either...
I love Chris. Chris is a fantastic player.
But you either play for America or you play for Canada.
I do not understand the policy, and I don't think it's fair that you get to play for different countries depending on,
what you feel
what color socks you wore that day. Oh, my socks are red. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a deal with Chris, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. And I'm not picking on him because this has come up before, and it's just something that it doesn't seem to me has ever been addressed.
They gave him the choice.
I don't know that they did give him a choice. I have no idea how they arranged this, and I tried to find out before the show, and I didn't have enough time. And I'm not picking on Chris. What I would like to know though is how you can go play in Shanghai as a Canadian and then come over here and then play as an American. It seems to me you should play for one or the other.
Right.
Right? And
because it'll affect things down the road too, right? I mean,
well, now, like for the North American Championship Tour, the top 2 Americans are going to end up playing in that PDC Team Cup thing.
Right.
So I would think, well, then maybe Chris should want to be listed as a Canadian so he could play with Part. But if it's a matter of like, well, for steel I'm going to play for the U.S. and for soft tip I'm going to play for Canada, I don't see how that can be allowed.
Right.
And Chris isn't the only one. I mean, David Phantom lives in Arizona, and I thought I've seen him listed as an American, but he was also Dartslive listed him as Canadian. So I don't understand how they're listing.
There's a disconnect.
How they're determining your country.
Right.
Right. I think Paul Lim has like 8 passports. He used to live in America. And we were doing the Mount Rushmore thing. People were like, well, what about Paul Lim? And I'm like, well, is he an American? And they're like, well, I don't, I mean,
right.
Show me your papers. I mean,
just
nobody
because he
does
lived
that.
Here doesn't mean he's American.
Well, he lives out in Singapore now, but it's kind of like they had, I think Lawrence Illigan was listed out of Macau this time, whereas before he was listed in the Philippines. So maybe he moved. Maybe it has to do with where you live. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I would like some clarification on this, though, because to me, it doesn't seem to be fair that you could play for 2 national teams.
No, I agree with that. Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah.
You can't do it in, like, the soccer World Cup, right?
True.
Like, we've had guys that they have to come and they rush them through citizenship so they could play for the American team. Like, we had this guy, I think he was Czech, Preki. He was good.
Oh, okay, I remember Preki.
Remember Preki? It was like 8, 12 years ago, whatever. Right. He was on the Czech team, and he had to change his citizenship. And then once he started playing for America, he couldn't play for the Czechs again.
No.
So I mean, there's got to be
American
some.
Citizen,
yeah.
well, right.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of rules that somebody's following somewhere. And of course, I looked through the DRA and found nothing.
Of course.
Yeah. Well.
Does that shock you?
There were some more tournaments that we should talk about. I didn't get a chance to go to Montreal.
Right, which you would have liked to.
Best tournament I've ever been to. And again, here's a tournament that has like the Saturday round robin, the Sunday knockout, where it's got, big money and consolation on Sunday, optional men's doubles if you feel like it at like 4 or 5 Saturday afternoon, mandatory blind draw Friday night. All the locals come out and they know they're going to get like, one of the,
right.
They cap the field at 128, so they know in advance. Well-run tournament, totally awesome. So, okay, I'm getting interrupted here. Anyway.
Scott Miller, what? Top 64?
Oh, okay, sorry. Scott Miller was also top 64. Sorry about that, Scotty. We said Scotty Burnett, right?
Yeah.
You read that one? Actually, you know what? There were 2 other Americans that were top 28, and we didn't mention them, Rick Espinoza and Donnie Joe.
Oh.
So they were out there, too.
Okay.
According to the smartest chat room on the universe, Darts Live goes by the passport. Seems like a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Let's all go by passport then.
Yeah.
Just come up with a rule and stick to it. That's all I ask. Otherwise, I'm gonna if I get to choose, if it's gonna choose, I'm gonna play for Papua New Guinea,
unless
and
you're
then I'm
Jason
gonna
Bourne
go
and you have 8 passports and you can play for every,
Right.
Of course, your name would change too. But anyway,
no, I'll play for Guam
mm-hmm.
and go to the PDC World Championship as the entry from Guam or Greater Antarctica. I'm pretty sure I could win that tournament. I can beat some penguins.
Be better than the Mystery Mark Open in my backyard.
I'm thinking because that's held in America. You would have to hold the Mystery Mark Open in Papua New Guinea or something. You know what I mean? Madagascar or the Malagasy Republic, whatever. I'm going to get yelled at for that.
Let's go back to the Scratch.
Well, yeah. Back to the Scratch. I think Darren Young was going for like a 4-peat. But anyway, it's like the best tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I came away from that tournament, and I played it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Came away from that tournament thinking this is what a dart tournament should be. And luckily now we're starting to get some tournaments to emulate that.
Sure.
So this was, every year I want to go back and I can't do it. But we do have results.
I do
got them there?
I have some results.
Okay, so here's the results from the. Now I've been calling it Le Scratch, but actually it's called the Sarantos Retsinas Memorial Dart Tournament.
Memorial Dart Tournament.
Retsinas. Sarantos Retsinas was the guy. I think he owned like a chain of pool halls with dartboards in Montreal. So he started the tournament, and now his daughters
have kept it
going in his memory.
All right.
So, and really nice. Katerina and I met them, I think 2 or 3 of them. They're really nice women. So anyway, let's run it down.
Men's championship, you have Darren Young and Ross Snook tied for 4th. Second place goes to David Cameron, and Martin Tremblay wins.
Martin Tremblay wins. Congrats to them. And I should probably send a note to somebody at Arachnid. Oh, by the way, Dave Cameron made 2nd, since he was listed as an amateur at the bullshooter last year. I should stop picking on those guys. All right, keep it going.
Women's championship, top 4, Kelly West and Maria Mason. Marilyn Loft gets 2nd with Robin Curry winning that.
Congrats to Robin.
Your consolation, top 4, Jim Lambert and Jason Harnish with Kevin Fredette, 2nd place, and Preston Noonan 1st. Your consolation women, Sylvie Berube and Tammy Bourne.
It's probably Berube.
Top 4, 2nd place goes to Wendy Kelly and France Saint Germain, 1st place for the consolation women.
Okay, what do we got? Men's doubles.
Saturday's men's doubles. Top 4, Preston Noonan and Sean Narian, Steve Donnell and Sylvian Bork, with Bob Seneve and Dave Switzer getting 2nd, and Dave Freilich and Rod Snow getting 1st.
Okay.
Your Saturday doubles for the women's, top 4, Krista Venedam and Maria Mason, Marjorie Eller-Dice and Rhonda Maidment. For top 4, Natalie Collin and France St. Germain for 2nd place, with Robin Curry and Kelly West winning that.
What do we call them? Not the Whisper Twins.
The Whisper Twins?
No, that was Trish and Stacy. We never did. We ever come up with a nickname for Robin and Kelly?
We might have, but if we did, I don't remember what it was. We didn't write it down.
Well, they need a nickname.
Right.
Okay.
Friday blind draw, main round, top 4, Rod Snow, Sean Narian, David Cameron, and Kevin Fredette. 2nd place, Darren Young and Paul Martell, with 1st place going to David Kendall and Norm Rollin. Your Friday blind draw consolation, top 4, Gary Broomhead and Ryan Moray, Tammy Bourne and Guy Massey. 2nd place goes to Bob Seneve and Tim Donovan, with David Smith and Tam Ray winning 1st place.
Okay, and that's the results from the latest and greatest Le Scratch 2013.
Yeah.
And actually, they and Cleveland have already announced dates for next year. So we're going to have to start posting those so people can find them. Well, I'll put them on our website if it ever gets up. And then I'll also put them on the Facebook page so people can know in advance. Like, I know Cleveland is the first weekend in May next year. So you can already circle your calendars and make plans for that. I do have results for Cleveland, and we'll get to those after the next break. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, and Chat Room Girl Sassy. We'll be right back.
All right.
All right, some Chicago Blues back for the second half. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart
Stay
Zone.
in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Still looking for the Cleveland results. I have them here somewhere.
We'll get them eventually.
We'll get to them. They sent partial results for the 44th Oregon Open, and that was one of the tournaments that I was going to go to this year. I was the two tournaments this year.
That's a long ways.
Well, I've never been to Oregon.
Yeah.
So the two tournaments I really wanted to go to this year, one was White Mountain and one was Oregon. And I missed them both. So too bad, so sad. And I wanted to go to this DPNY this weekend in New York. And just, by the time I got to looking at plane fares, they were too high.
Right.
I got kind of a little behind the curve. So I was like, so I'm going to try to make it out for June. So some nice guys in New York. Hoping I come out there so they can beat on me a little
exactly,
bit. I'm pretty sure the target on my back when I walk
sure.
into New York State's pretty big. Anyway, I guess Kevin Luke and Brenda Rausch did pretty good. So what do we got? BD? Oh, blind draw. Kevin Luke and Julian Hill over Brenda Rausch and Patrick Kithy. In the 0-1 doubles, Bud Elysia and Alan Poole second to Kevin Luke and David Foster. In the cricket singles, John Hussman second, Kevin Luke first. Was this the Kevin Luke Open? Mixed doubles, Patrick Kithy and Brenda Rausch lost to Kevin Luke and Sylvia DeFord. In the cricket doubles, Nils Nelson and Andy Campbell second to Kevin Luke and David Foster.
Maybe Kevin Luke just knows how to pick a partner.
0-1 singles, Patrick Kithy second, Kevin
not.
Luke first. Well, this is silly. Okay. Women's cricket singles, Janet DeGraff second, Brenda Rausch first. Women's 0-1 singles, Renee Ripple.
Renee Ripple.
Second, and Brenda Rausch first. I wonder if they just even played that one. In the 0-1 doubles, Christy Donner and Deborah Straub second to Carol Harriet and Brenda Rausch. Now, nice to see Carol's name. Carol's one of the first listeners to the show. So it's good to see she got out there. And then Brenda and Carol Harriet also won the women's cricket doubles over Lorraine Hinson and Tracy McCann. Of course, the info came from Brenda and Kevin. So I guess if you tell this guy you won everything, he'll just relay that.
Right.
Everybody had a great time at the Oregon Open. Come next year. Thanks, Adam. I will certainly try. That was on my list.
Somebody's got to beat Kevin.
No, that that was on my list of tournaments that I really wanted to go to. We had a lot of photos from that tournament last year. It looked like kind of a nice little layout. They had not redwood, but they had wood backboards that I thought looked pretty cool, and it looked like a nice start room and everything. So maybe next year we can get out there. Danny Lobby Jr. has been running out to England. Did you know about this? He's running out to
Vaguely,
England
I knew
every
a little bit
month.
about it.
He's been running out to England
for the
every month.
Youth events.
Yeah, and now here's something that needs to get addressed here in America. Is as I understand it, and again,
Where's he from?
He lives in Indiana. He lives in Terre Haute.
He's going to England once a month.
Once a month, he's
That's
been going.
crazy.
He says he's getting tired of it, and he wants to move over there. And I'm like, yeah, good idea. I don't know how much airfare costs you and how many frequent
It'd be
flyer
cheaper
miles.
to live there, yeah.
Well, he's probably got enough frequent flyer miles. He ought to go to France and play in the Darts Live. There's a Darts Live in France in June that I'm really seriously considering going to.
Really?
Yeah. I've never been to France.
Okay.
No, I've never been to Europe.
Sure. Well,
Never been to the Far East either. So, but I was just thinking, wow, would that be cool? Go play a dart tournament in France and then, I don't know, find a cafe on the left bank, wear a beret for a couple of days, hang out. How could that not be fun?
Do people in France have long hair, or would you just be a complete outsider?
All I know about France is they kiss on Main Street. That's the only thing that.
Just anybody?
In France, they kiss on Main Street. That's the name of the
No,
song.
okay.
I don't really ask a whole lot of questions. It's not really that important. What's important is, interruption from the chat room.
I have, the chat room. I have a speak. Yeah.
Yeah, speak.
The
Use your
youth
words.
Tour, the youth tour.
The PDC challenge.
It's under 25, not under 21.
Oh, it's under 25, so they've
Yes.
really upped it. Oh my God, they're throwing these kids to the wolves. What?
We have person from Ireland in the
in
chat
the
room.
chat room. Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. They have one of my
Have a
favorite
Guinness
tournaments.
on me.
Yeah, they have one of my favorite tournaments. They have the double in, double out 501 tournament in Ireland every year.
Nice.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the one Irish guy that I used to play with in Chicago, we would play like before a blind draw. We'd just play like 301 for a while, and you had to go in on the bull. That was always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Be surprised, you know. It
There's
gets
only
easy
one
after a
Irish
while.
guy that you've played in Chicago?
The one I played with regularly.
Oh, okay.
They all disappeared.
Yeah.
When I first started playing, the accusation was this one bar, the Thatch, would fly people in from Ireland for the
Right.
city finals, and
Right.
then they would fly back when it was over. I'm
And you
kinda
only
like,
saw him once a year.
there's
Yeah.
no money in it. Why would they bother? You know, they're
Right.
probably just visiting family, and they're, let's go play some
Yeah.
darts, and then they come and smoke you and go
Just
back to
happen to be-
Ireland and laugh
just
at
luckily
Chicago
you're in
darts.
town
I mean,
that week.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny. What were we talking
So
about?
we're talking about
Oh.
the youth movement.
Well, here's the thing, and I can't remember who I said this to. It might have been they were doing interviews at Darts Live. So I sat down with, I don't know, they asked me like 3 or 4 questions, and at one point, I think before the girl was like, yeah, keep it simple, don't get deep, and I don't know that it's really possible for me.
Right.
But I said something. They asked me something about like the younger players, and I ended up saying, you know, we need to fix something in America because the American youth program's 18 and under,
Mm-hmm.
and once you turn 18,
You're thrown to the
most
wolves.
places you can't get into a bar anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it was. I think it was Stacy
Unless
Whitney.
you're in a college town.
Stacey Whitney was having a really hard time, like playing in ADO regionals because she wasn't old enough to get into the bar they were having the regionals at, and she was actually the best player, so she'd have won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she actually hurt her elbow and quit playing. She was a nice girl. Young. You know, like 18, 19. This is the future, right? And look at our youth.
You got to
thing
keep them
is like,
playing. Right.
Well, yeah. What are you going to do when you're 19?
Right.
You're going to go.
There's no tournaments held in somebody's basement.
Yeah,
so
you know, and then, you know, I hear about these kids. Yeah, like we had the one girl from Florida on. Well, they kind of let her in, and
Yeah,
she's there with her
right.
dad.
Tyler?
And well,
Taylor?
since it may not be legal, I wasn't going to mention her
Okay.
name, but yeah, it was tough. You know, and so yeah, you know, maybe in some places you can work around it, in other places maybe you can't.
Right.
But it's like, how are you going to develop talent?
Yeah. I mean,
when
you know,
there's
technically,
nowhere
if
for
the
them to
place is
play.
a restaurant, I'm sure they could probably go in there because you can have underage in there till 11.
Rules are different
But
everywhere you
it's,
go. Like we were going to get some of those little one-shot bottles of Fireball.
Who was we?
Jill and I, before we
Oh.
went down to Kentucky, because when we were in Indiana, some of the Kentucky people were like, "Hey, have a shot," you know. It's
Okay.
like, okay, we'll return the favor. You can't buy them in the city; they're illegal.
All right.
But you can go across Harlem Avenue and
Yeah,
buy
and
them
they're
in
right
Oakwood
there.
Park. So
Yeah.
I mean, the rules are funny everywhere.
Right.
But I mean, so now like the PDC's 25 and under. Well, that's great. You've got a farm system now,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do
Absolutely.
we have?
18 and under.
Yeah. Good luck. We'll see you in 3 years.
Right.
I mean, it's silly the way
Yeah.
it's formulated, and it's okay. I'm not going to go off on the ADO much, but here's
just a tad.
no. Here's the thought I had, because you know I am saddled with like a terminally ill baseball team. That
Yes.
they're my
Yes,
team.
you
I know they stink. Go ahead and little James
Every-
Butler
everything you
teasing me
wanna
about
say.
the Cubs. I'm
Right.
like, okay, whatever. They stink, right? But they got no farm system. There's nobody in the farm system. There's
Correct.
nobody coming up. Well, who's in charge of the farm system? They get fired.
Yes.
All right. Who's in charge of the American farm system? Because they should get fired. Whoever's in charge of our farm system should get
Right.
fired. And I got to figure it's
You
the
need
ADO.
a change.
I got to figure it's the ADO. The first thing they have to change is they got to change the age
Mm-hmm.
limit and make it at least 21.
Makes the most sense.
25, I mean, we don't have that many people. But, I mean, look, they have tour, they have events, and I look through the results, and they got 50, 60, 80, 90 kids playing.
Mm-hmm.
Our youth events, I've never seen more than like 10. Right? Admittedly, we are a spread-out country, right? Geographically,
Well, yeah, sure.
we are challenged, but I see absolutely no coordinated effort to grow the sport among young people,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we have a youth. Steve Gagnon is like the youth manager, and what I've seen the ADO do, they do well, but they don't. You know, it's like individual tournaments. Like Virginia Beach has all these youth events. They have youth events all weekend. Cleveland had all these youth events over the weekend where they raised enough money to send 2 kids to, I guess, to Stanford. See, it seems to me sending people to ADO things is a waste of time, right?
Right.
because you're saddling them with now they got to go through the ADO. Where's that going to go? So one kid's going to go to England and be ill-prepared to compete against these kids because they get more competition. And our kids, I mean...
Well, but on the other hand, it's also good
depends.
that at least they're raising money to send these kids to keep them interested.
Oh, no,
it's travel somewhere.
There's plenty of support for youth darts. But what are we getting out of it? Right? Where do our youths go when they're 19?
You're going to send the youth over.
All this effort is now wasted.
You send the adult Americans over to England, they're ill-prepared because we don't play in the same stuff.
Well, okay, so the AAA farm director gets fired too. That's the ADO.
Exactly.
And these tournaments that we play do not prepare you
exactly.
to play big-time darts because we don't play a big-time dart format in most of the tournaments we go to.
But that's changing.
You got to have 13 events, and you got to diddle every leg, and it's best of 3, and it's a bunch of,
right.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And
then most of the events
on
are
the horizon.
Doubles. Well, it's turning that way slowly, but it's not going to stop me from whining.
Well, no, I mean I agree with you though.
And there's cheese in the fridge, by the way.
There's cheese in the fridge.
Hi, Lewis.
Did you just looked at me like all of a sudden I need some cheese?
No, because I was whining.
Oh.
Hi, Lewis in England in the chat room. How you doing? I got to find these Cleveland results. No, because I got a nice little email from whoever ran the Cleveland tournament. I think it was Sue Rosano. And she sent me the results, and 2 guys qualified for Stanford, which is like they raised $1,200 to send these 2 kids.
Nice. Right.
That seems to be kind of high.
$1,200?
$1,200, $600 to go play in an event. Why does that event cost $600?
Right.
See,
well, is that travel?
Pricing,
is it just the event, or is that travel and everything?
Oh, it's probably travel.
So that would make
how much does it cost to drive to Stanford from Cleveland?
Well, they can't drive.
Well.
They can't even get. they have to fly.
They don't have to fly. They're not 11-year-olds.
They're not going to ride a bike.
17-year-olds drive.
What if they were 15?
Well, that'd be different.
Okay.
Can you fly alone when you're 15?
Sure.
Can you? What's the age
fly alone
limit
when
for
you're
that?
10? As long as you have consent.
Well, I saw When Harry Met Sally. Or no, what was the one with
Harry
Tom
Met
Hanks?
Sally.
And, no, the other one.
Sleepless in Seattle?
I see, yeah. How old is that kid?
Yeah, he's like 10.
He's 10?
Right, something like that.
I don't know. There's got to be an age
but
limit or something.
You can fly by yourself at the age of 10. You cannot drive.
Okay. I don't know. I was going to say something about some kid driving at the age of 2, but I won't.
Okay.
No, what we need to do, though, is we need to really I wanted to talk about how to build an organization because, I rip the ADO all the time. And one of the ADO guys is like, well, if you want to get rid of the ADO, what are you going to replace them with? And I'm like, well, here's what you replace them with. And I started rattling off what you needed to do, and his eyes just glazed over and his ears started to bleed.
He didn't think you would have an answer to that.
Yeah, well.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't know you very well.
Guess he learned the hard way. All right, let me dig up these Cleveland results. It'll just take a second. We'll be right back. You listen to Dart Talk with Chat Room Girl, Steve and Mark. We'll be right back. Okay, back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts.
We have found the results.
Yeah, I knew I had them. I just
Okay.
couldn't find them. We'll table this talk about the ADO and stuff because I got a couple of thoughtful, I'll characterize them as thoughtful emails from concerned parties. You're talking about some of the stuff that we've said on the show over the past couple of weeks, and
well, everybody's got their own opinion. They're just trying to share it,
and they're entitled to their opinions. It's just that when somebody's wrong, you got to call them on it. And then if they're going to continue to insist that they're not wrong, then you have to explain to them the error of their ways, right? So,
well, of course.
But you got to give them.
On the other hand, you're just insisting that you're right.
Well, we know I'm right, but we have to give them the opportunity to.
Right.
We have to give them the opportunity to
debate.
say their
They would like to debate.
I mean,
it a little
I
bit.
just don't want somebody coming on the show misquoting me.
I agree with that.
Right, like they do in the chat room.
Yes.
Right.
Just because they can't.
I'm just
saying.
saying
What they
I'm
hear.
just saying I don't want any part of it.
Don't knock Sassy's chat room.
Anyway, I have you. Let's start with the Utes.
The Utes.
From the Cleveland Dart Extravaganza number 36.
The 2 Utes.
In the blind draw doubles 401. Top 8, Madison Hughes, Tiffany Hedrick, Dominic Rossano, Devin Ellis, Chase Vaughn, Nicole Kedrick. Top 4, Carl DeChico, Cole Keene, Anthony Green, and Tim Gamble. Second place, Brandon Hughes and Austin Kanicki. And the winners were Hannah Kazmarski and Alexis Hughes. In the singles cricket ages 13 to 17. See, that needs to change. That needs to be to 13 to 21 or something. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, what do you do when you're 19? They throw you to the wolves.
Right.
So anyway, okay.
Could you have 2 separate events, though? Do you really want 19-year-olds playing 13-year-olds?
You do now. You got 17-year-olds playing 13-year-olds.
Right.
To me, what other sport would you do that?
Yeah.
You just wouldn't. You can add another division and make it 18 to 25.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
do something like that.
Instead of going 13
yeah,
to 21, but add another division, go 17 to 21 and 13 to 16 or whatever.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah,
they need to.
But they need to increase it.
They need to at least get it up to the age of 21.
Because it's bad enough that you have 17-year-olds playing 13-year-olds, but you really want 40-year-olds playing 19-year-olds because they got nowhere else to go.
Plus, think about it. If a kid takes up darts at the age of 12, he's only been playing for a year, and all of a sudden he's in with the big kids.
Right.
Against kids that maybe started at the age of 10, and now they're on their 7th year. I mean, they're going to get slaughtered.
That, yeah.
They're going to get slaughtered.
Yeah, if you pick up the darts at the age of 12 and all of a sudden you're 19, you've only played for 7 years. And then you're going to be playing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
45
I mean, they need to fix this, and I think it would help. Anyway, top 16, Chase Vaughn. Top 8, Tiffany Hedrick, Zach Johnson, Carl DeChico, Anthony Green. Top 4, Nicole Kedrick and Dominic Rossano. Second place, Devin Ellis, and the winner was Cole Keene. That was cricket singles, 13 to 17 in age, and they got the girls playing with the guys, which I think is good. I like that. They would probably have separate women's events if they had enough.
If there was enough, right.
Okay, in the singles cricket ages 9 to 12.
Wow.
Alexis Hughes, Hannah Kosmarski, top 4. Maddie Hughes, second place. Brandon Hughes, first place. See, they could have played that one in their garage.
Yeah.
So it's all brothers and sisters, right? The
but
Hugheses.
it's impressive. You have a 9 to 12-year-old Hannah Kosmarski, and she actually wins the blind draw doubles 401 in the top.
Yeah, with Alexis Hughes, and they're both 9 to 12.
Between 9 and 12.
You got to like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, what is this? Now, singles 301 ages under 9. Austin Kanicki, second place.
How long would that
Timmy
take?
Gamble first. Well, they don't, it's like open in, open out kind of thing. Right. But, I mean, it's so cute when you see them, like, they got a chair by the board so they can climb up and get their darts. I just think it's cute. Okay, blind draw doubles cricket. Top 8, Brandon Hughes, Nikki Hedrick, Hannah Kosmarski, Timmy Gamble, Austin Konecki and Anthony Green. Top 4, Alexis Hughes and Devin Ellis, Chase Vaughn and Zach Johnson. Second place, Carl DeChico, Tiffany Hedrick. And Cole Keene and Madison Hughes won that one. And in the youth...
Jesus.
Oh, the youth adult. Yeah, which is...
It's an all youth
Can't
tournament.
read them all. All right, top 4, Zach Johnson and Chuck Johnson. Carl DeChico and Brian Plum. Second place, Cole Keene and Howard Miner. And the winner, Brendan Hughes and Bob Walton. Congrats to everybody there. Singles 301, all ages. 8 entries. Top 8, Austin Kanicki, Joseph Gilbord, Hannah Kosmarski, and Anthony Green. Top 4, Kyle McEwen, Brandon Hughes. Second place, Brendan Kruk, and the winner, Madison Hughes. And the ADO Youth All-Stars. Now, this was, I guess, to qualify to go to Stanford and play in the Youth Championship.
Right.
Top 8, Nikki Hendrick, Zach Johnson, Tiffany Hedrick, and Garrett Fess. Top 4, Carl DeChico and Devin Ellis. Second place, Cole Keene, and the winner, Mitch Hedrick. So I believe it was Mitch and Cole Keene.
Check to see if we got 4 bars
that got
up there.
through. So congrats to
the
them.
sound's breaking up a little
They
bit.
said the sound's breaking up. It
No,
could
we got
just
4 bars.
could be on their end. Sometimes, if your provider something stutters. I mean, hopefully.
Nice.
Now here is what I call an informed chat room. They're not only listening to the show,
They're
but they're
watching
also
another dart
watching
show.
something else to see when the darts come on. And to be honest, Showtime focusing on darts proves, well, can I finish?
Horse racing. Well, I mean, the Derby's coming up. I mean, sorry.
It's okay.
It's Kentucky. The Derby this weekend, man.
You're not.
Would you like to say?
Here's the
I'd like to say that I'm getting good at interrupting Steve. It's a hard job, though. Very hard.
Well, tell me about it. I've been trying to interrupt him for a year. All right, let's move on. Do you have more results from Cleveland, or was that it?
I wanted to say something about this Showtime thing, because what I have been saying all along is that there's only one world championship, and it's the PDC World Championship. And the BDO thing at Lakeside doesn't have anything to do with a world championship.
Correct.
And CBS
I will
is
agree
now
with you saying
CBS is now reinforcing this.
Oh, are they? Okay.
This is what I've been saying all along. And the one cool thing that some of these dartboard makers, to their chagrin, is if you go on the PDC website, they're actually covering the Dartslive event that happened in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
So they're considering now that there is a world championship of soft tip darts, and it is Dartslive. So any other tournament, especially ones held on Memorial Day weekend, better not be calling themselves world championships, because we're going to call BS on that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, the one issue that I do have with Dartslive, though, when they're talking about being a world championship, is that it would be helpful if 80 or 75% of the events weren't held in the Far East.
Okay.
Right? Right now, they've got one scheduled for Vegas, they got one scheduled for France, and then 6, or at least 5, are in the Far East, and one's to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it very difficult for other people to qualify and to win if it's going to all be in the Far East. So I would suggest that they start having at least 3 Dartslive events in Chicago. And have the world final in Chicago. I think that would be the fair thing to do.
Sure.
Having 4 events in 3 stages in Chicago plus
darts
the world
are so
championship.
huge in Chicago.
They are big.
That's why. I mean, this is a mecca.
Chicago is
centrally
located. We have got a great airport.
Oh yeah.
And
and dart players galore.
We do have
a lot of dart
great
players.
concentration of soft tip players.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
In and around the Chicago area. So it seems to me, you know what? And if you have a problem with having it in Chicago, I would say have it in Milwaukee.
Right. Or Indianapolis.
No, Indianapolis is no good. Having it in Milwaukee, the problem is that flying into Mitchell isn't easy because their airport is too small. But doing it in Chicago, which takes international flights, you could very easily do it in Chicago. And they can all, now that Sassy lives here, she can.
Tour. You do know that, right?
Well, I was going to get to that, and I was not going to talk about it this week because they were posting links, and the links went nowhere. So I think that there's a little. Yeah. Okay, just you got to have your ducks in a row before you actually talk about this stuff, because we don't want to get it wrong. But yeah, they did announce something, but there wasn't anything there. So we'll wait until they have it all. Yeah, I see you pointing. Here. Here's how it works. Hey, look.
Wisconsin, Virginia, Hawaii, and Washington.
Washington State? Hawaii.
We got to go to that one.
Huge amount of dart players there. Dartslive players.
Well, of course.
Okay. Well, can we move on? Anyway, we've got results for the adults in Cleveland.
Yes. Could you finish
Well, I
those?
did have them. I might have lost them now. They might be gone for good.
No.
Let's see. The Cleveland Killer. I think the Cleveland Killer is where you play with these little Vogue starts. They're like 6 grams.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't play it, though, because I'm like, it messed me up for the whole weekend. But, okay, top 4, Joe Hedrick and Steve Evangelista. Second place, Bob Walton, and the winner was Troy Cox. In the Open Pro Shoot, which I believe last year was 301, top 4, Matt Thompson and Kevin Yasinchuk. Second place, Scott Meeks, and the winner, Terry Hayhurst. Well played to those guys. In the Ladies Pro Shoot, top 4, Kim Keller and Patty Petrauskis. Second place, Rhonda Colias. And the winner, Jennifer Ellert. Congrats to them. In the blind draw, excuse me, top 4, Kim Keller, Steve Evangelista, Jimmy Widd, and Tex Wigland. Second place, Howard Miner and David Kapustik. Winner, Jennifer Ellert and Gordon Dixon. In the mixed trips, top 4, Michelle Heidegger, Steve Evangelista, and Pat Jurison. Randy Moffitt, Julie McGill, and Jack Robinson. Second place, Steve Warnock, Chris Rossano, and Trish Grezik. And the winner, Cindy Hayhurst. I got to get used to that. Cindy Hayhurst, Terry Hayhurst, and Jimmy Widd.
Used to the fact that there's actually a Cindy. There's an actual Cindy Hayhurst.
It was Cindy Party for so long. I just, in my head, she's Cindy Party, and I know she's married now. I just got to get used to it. It's just sort of, a thing. Did I do the women's cricket?
No.
Top 4, Patty Vickroy, Sue Sells, Becky Denman, and Missy Prine. Second place, Kim Keller, Kathy Solway, and the winners of the women's doubles cricket, Cindy Hayhurst and Trish Grezik. In the men's doubles cricket, Steve Evangelista, Pat Jurison, Chris Rossano, Steve Warnock. Top 4, Gordon Dixon and DJ Sayer. Second place to Terry Hayhurst and Jimmy Widd. In the ladies singles 5-0, top 4, Gloria Gutierrez and Jacqueline Mady. Second place, Kathy Salway. The winner, Kay Hoover. That was the ladies 501. In the men's 501, top 4, Gordon Dixon and Scott Frazier Jr. Second place, Steve Warnock, and the winner was Terry Hayhurst. Saturday's blind draw, top 4, Chris Kish, Chris Bird, DJ Sayre, Bob Kozlowski, top 4. Sean Lodge, Bill Hughes, second place to Jack Robinson and Leonard Gates. In the mixed doubles 501, top 4, Sean Lodge, Patty Petrauskis, Kathy Salway, and DJ Sayer. Second place, Clint Jokum and Jamie Clark. And the winners, Steve Warnock and Trish Grezik. Men's doubles 501, top 4, Perry Prine, Kevin Moncrief, Jack Robinson, Randy Moffitt, Steve Evangelista, Pat Jurison. Second place to Kevin Yasinchuk and Brian Plum. Well played to those guys. Ladies doubles 501, Amy DeBruyne, Kay Hoover, Gloria Gutierrez, and Marlise Keel, top 4. Jenny Ellert and Jamie Clark, second place. Patty Vickroy and Sue Sells won that.
Was this tournament like 2 weeks long?
Men's singles cricket. This is why these tournaments need to change.
My God.
Men's singles cricket. And that's why I said we'll do NDA next week. Or we got a lot of results.
There's 80 events.
Killing me. Men's singles cricket. Mark Fair back from Hong Kong and Randy Moffitt. Second place, Gordon Dixon. The winner, Pat Jurison. Ladies singles cricket. Top 4, Kim Keller, Tammy Allen. Second place, Cindy Hayhurst. Congrats to Marlise Keel, the winner of the women's singles cricket at the Cleveland Dart Extravaganza number 36.
The Cleveland Dart Marathon.
I keep telling you, all these events,
Wow.
It's like...
How do they squeeze it? No wonder why they run late.
And you're wondering why the thought of
Plus
going to
all the
Cleveland.
youth
The thought of
events,
going to
too.
Cleveland, I'm like, well,
Right.
I can't do it. Drive 6 hours to play best of 3, diddle every leg.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
No. Now I have an
No.
alternative, right? Now I can just go to, the long format 01 events. And
Right.
then I don't even have to play cricket.
Even better for you. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The whole idea, and this was the thing I took I took from Darts Live. The other thing I took from the Darts Live, because we got to talk about it. I spent like 9 hours watching it, is how young these guys looked. I mean, you've got a tournament population in the Far East or Southeast Asia or whatever you want to call that geographic region, because you got kids coming from Japan, from China, from Hong Kong, from Macau, from the Philippines. The vast majority of the field, I think there were like 10 Americans, 12 Americans, 13 Americans, counting the kind of halfway Canadian American guys.
Right.
Well, no, I mean,
I'm
not dissing them.
I know.
Honestly,
You
this
don't
is
know
a
which-
tricky distinction to make.
Right.
Right? Go by passports, whatever. Anyway, how young these guys are. When you go to these like American Diddle Organization tournaments and you look at the guys that are winning, they're all older.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at a guy like Jimmy Widmer, fantastic player. He's been playing since the 90s, I think. So he's going on 20-some years. Let me tell you, there you could barely find a player
That's
at this
been playing for
Dartslive
28
thing that's
years.
been playing for 28
Right.
years. I mean, there are some older guys. But the thing that
The majority, though.
this is not a knock on Larry, but I was watching and watching and watching and watching, and I watched match after match after match after match, starting in like the round of 128, where obviously there are some players that are kind of haven't been playing very long. You know,
Get their feet wet.
Well, no, but you know, like Chris White played some girl that hung really tough, and you know, is not the player Chris is, and ended up proving it. But she didn't quit.
Right.
You know, she tried her best, and, you know, they shook hands. She had a smile on her face, and, you know, I'd have to think for her it was a positive experience. But what I found remarkable was, like, I'm watching all these matches, and then all of a sudden they finally they have Larry playing, I think it was Larry playing Scotty Kirchner. And I was just like, wow. I mean, because, you know, Larry's got some gray hair, and, you know, and you know, Larry's not 27.
No.
Not like me, right?
No, you're 28.
But it was a stark contrast. You see all these young guys, and then, you know,
then there's Larry.
Grandpa.
Right.
You know, not that he's a grandfather. I mean, it's just sort of the visual of it was, I just found so startling.
Mm-hmm.
And even the guy that won, I mean, he's probably in his early 30s, but he looks younger. And a lot of the Japanese players and the Chinese players are probably look a little younger than they really are.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like, my God, it's like all these kids. And then you look at the good Americans that went out there. Like you look at a guy like Ray Carver. What, Ray's been playing 20 years, right? Chris White been playing 20 years. I don't think Benny Durst has been playing that long. I don't know how long Scott Miller's been playing, but I mean, you know, Scotty Kirchner's been playing for 20 years.
Yeah, I know. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Can you imagine what these kids are going to be like in 10 years when they have all this to play for already?
Then the other hand, you're saying though there's not 20-year-plus veterans from Asian descent, so they might not play that long.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's like you'll play if there's something to play for. I mean, I can. Oh, don't get me started on people
because
talking
we're over
about
an
what
hour,
they.
so.
Well, people talking about what they did 20 years ago.
If we're going to get you started, start it next week.
People talking about what they did 25 years ago. I'll bet you I have talked to 300 dart players who have all told me about what they did in the 90s and how great it was in the 80s and everything. Well, there were more tournaments to go to and stuff like that. And now there are very few people still playing that played back then because there wasn't anything to play for anymore. And when the PDC came in with this World Series of Darts 5-6 years ago, a bunch of guys were like, you know what, I'll try it again.
I'm going to bring it back.
And some of them are still playing. Can you imagine how tough the American dart scene would be is if all these good players from the 80s actually were still playing,
kept playing
all this
the
time?
90s? Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine how deep the field is. People are saying it's a tough room now. Imagine how tough the room would be with all these great players that quit in their 30s when they're 32 and they start having children. Or, well, no, they don't.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you look at what Dartslive is doing, you've got an entire generation of players now that it's worthwhile to play. There's something at the end of the line. Right? There's a professional path. I mean, imagine what it's going to look like in 10 years.
Oh, it should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they leverage all the new technology that's available. They stream it online. They post results on Twitter. They do this and they do that. And it's like you're going to have an organization that doesn't know what Twitter is. How are they ever going to compete with that?
It won't.
That's what I'm saying.
Not a way.
So we could talk about one of the things I want to talk about next week, and you can write this one down, is
and I will.
Because this is something I really want to have an actual discussion with, where it's just not me ranting. But do we need the ADO? And if we don't, what do we need to replace it? And if we do we need everything the ADO does, or just some of the things they do? I mean, what are we going to do with the ADO? How do we fix it?
Right.
Is it fixable?
It's a good question.
And if we don't need the ADO, what do we need in place to replace it?
Right.
And are the pieces in place? Dave wants that thing, but You don't. Are the
Nice.
pieces in place? What pieces are missing? Do we have the right people directing things?
Yes.
Is anybody directing it? Because last week I was basically said it was anarchy. Soft
Right.
tip is anarchy. Soft tip is anarchy. You've just got all these individual
those are all
people
good
all out
questions.
for themselves. You know,
Right. Those are all good
the,
questions.
The machine makers are all out for themselves. They're trying to make a profit. I mean, I get that, right? But there's no coherent. Here's the PGA Tour kind of thing,
Right.
when it comes to soft tip. And we'll talk next week. I'll get some more information. I don't know. I saw the links they were posting for this Dartslive thing, and they came up empty. They were blank. They were posting them like Saturday night and Sunday morning, and there was nothing there. And I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't post this stuff until you actually have some body.
Isn't somebody paying attention that it's not
apparently
working?
it's a little premature. No big deal. It's no big deal. I mean,
Right.
we wait until it's actually set before we talk about it anyway. So no hurry.
Right.
But we'll talk about that next week. You got anything, chat room girl?
Anything?
My chat room is awesome. Awesome.
Okay, we don't give.
You heard it here
unsolicited-
first.
Yeah. Okay.
Glad to have you back.
Actually, our audience is pretty awesome.
Glad to have you
Now that I
back. At
think of
least,
it.
Chat room, we're just having a great old conversation.
even if it's only for 1 week, because apparently every other week you're off.
Are you here next week?
Oh, all right.
Don't sound so enthusiastic.
Write that down.
I'll be here for the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then the 4th week I'll be off.
Oh, where are you off to?
I'm not gonna tell you because you're just gonna say, "Why would you play in that?"
Oh, you're gonna play the bullshooter?
Yeah.
We can still do the show.
4-person is Thursday night.
Well, today's Wednesday.
Oh, man.
It's at Rosemont.
20 minutes away from here?
Okay, I'll be here.
I have to prepare for a 4-person event a day later.
Well, you know what? I did want to try to get some of these players into the studio during the bullshooter. Well, not during the bullshooter, but while people were in town. We'll try to grab some interviews with some people.
Okay.
I think that everybody would like to hear a couple of these people talk about some stuff.
I think so, too, yeah.
What is the highest gram dart that you can use on an electronic board? My understanding is that the manufacturers have them at 30, but the tournaments historically have limited darts to 18 to 20, but now Dartslive says 25.
I remember when I first started playing soft tip, it was like 18.6 or something.
Yeah,
was the
something like
max.
that.
But that was back in
from
like
what
1987.
I understand, the limit now on Dartslive is 25, and to be honest, the boards could take way more
up
than
to
that.
30 is what they're saying.
And that was another thing we talked about that eventually got implemented. It was like, why are there these artificial weight limits?
Mm-hmm.
Who put these in? This is not for competition. This is to protect your equipment. This is silly, like the soft spikes.
Right, exactly. Right.
The pros don't wear soft spikes.
Oh, really? To this day?
No.
Oh, I
They
did.
weren't-
I did not know that.
No, do you know how bad your footing is
Yeah.
if it's a little wet with soft
Right.
spikes? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I lost 20 yards off the tee.
Right.
Darts got 18 whole minutes out of the 60-minute segment. Woohoo!
Okay.
It's 18 more than they would have gotten normally.
That's just awesome. Something happens when she's here. Jen, you notice the show's better, right? At least tell me it's better.
It's better.
The chat room's got to be better.
It's better.
Because we basically ignore the chat room. Anyway, thanks, we do have an awesome audience.
Yes, we do.
We really do. I don't really say that. She's over there. We have an awesome. We almost never thank our audience for listening. Don't you think we should?
thank them at the end of every show.
Do we?
We always say thanks for listening.
Well, if I ever forget, make sure you knock me
All right.
upside the head like the commercial. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Thanks for
You can
listening.
download the podcast many places, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, iTunes. The video is up on YouTube. We got our own YouTube channel. You can always email us, darttalk@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page.
We'll
and
have
you
a
can
website
find
up
us-
eventually.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to it. Hopefully by the end of the month. And then you can also find us on Twitter @DartTalk. We'll start tweeting more. And you got anything?
Where you at this weekend?
I'm going to Cub games.
Oh, that's right.
People
That's
are throwing
right.
me tickets left
Well,
and right. I'm
yeah.
going tomorrow. I'm going
because
Friday.
there's plenty of seats available,
Well, yeah.
but they're good seats.
Ask me next week what I did last night since we don't have time.
Okay.
And why downtime is
Right.
never good for Steve. Anyway. All right, so we'll get to
All
that.
right.
Anyway,
Well, enjoy your baseball. Enjoy your week off. Everybody else, enjoy Cinco de Mayo to everybody, which is 4 days from now. And
We'll Dart talk to you next
And
week.
We'll Dart talk to you next week.
All right, everybody.
Oh, and Happy Derby Day.
Orb. All right.
Happy Derby Day.
Everybody take care.